Okay, so just finished watching the Triple G Murata fight. It's going to go down on paper as a KO in the 9th for Triple G, a win where he unified the middleweight title, set himself up for that Canelo fight on the 17th of September, and stopped somebody who'd never previously been stopped. So it sounds great, but to me the real story was in rounds 1 to 6. I thought Murata put up a really good show there. He hurt Triple G to the body, following on from what Derevyanchenko had done. Triple G looked quite mortal rounds 1 to 6. And you thought, is this going to be the banana skin that we thought it could possibly be? He seemed to turn it around with a right hook to the head in round 6, which knocked Murata's gum shield out. And Murata wasn't the same fighter after that. Seemed to get tired, and Triple G regained his composure, regained his balance, and took the fight to Murata. And therefore, it was all kind of one-way traffic after that. And, he finished the fight in style. But to me, the wear and tear was plain to see. And if I was Canelo watching that, I'd be thinking, right, okay, I'm quite happy about that. So moving on, like I said, I'm going away on my Easter holiday, so I'm just about to join the long lines of traffic. And I thought I'd skip over next week's Easter weekend fight, which is Conor Benn against Chris Van Heerden. And I'll have a bit of fun and look at the big one coming up on the 23rd of April. Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte at Wembley Stadium. It's on BT Sport pay-per-view, $24.95 for that fight. And, the interesting thing about this fight is when this was coming up, everybody was saying this fight, the build-up is going to be amazing. You know why? Because we've got two fantastic characters in Fury and Whyte. They can really trash talk. They're very witty. When those two get together, it's going to be explosive. And we've got nothing because Dillian Whyte it seems to be in a bit of a huff and is not taking part in any of the pre-fight promotions and making a big point of sitting out in his training camp in Portugal and not saying anything. There's only so much you can do with only Tyson in the room at the press conferences and stuff. So we've had zero from that stage, in the promotion. The reason behind that is Whyte, has always said, he's kind of, the feeling you get is he's been dragged kicking and screaming into this fight, which is kind of ironic because he's been WBC #1 mandatory contender for 3.5 years, all that time, when it was tied up with Wilder and Fury, and thinking, will he ever get his shot? And he really deserves it. Took dangerous, interim fights, waiting to get that shot to stay busy. And he finally gets his shot and he doesn't seem to want to play ball. Well, he says, that he's only getting 20% of the purse split, so it's an 80-20 split in Tyson's favour. He's unhappy about that. He's also not getting a cut of the pay-per-view sales, so his view is, if I'm not getting a cut, it's worth no more extra money to me to sell the fight, to sell the pay-per-view side. Why should I bother? I'll just focus on my training. Frank Warren's perspective on that is you're getting something like 32 times what you got for your last fight. In this fight, you're getting a career high payday. You should play the game, you should engage, you should promote the fight. And Frank's kind of stuck his neck out on this one because you remember that big $41 million purse bid to get the fight, with 20% of which will go to Dillian Whyte and 80% to Tyson Fury. So it's a big purse. You've got to sell a lot of tickets to recoup on that. Now, he has sold out Wembley. 94,000 tickets have gone. So it's going to be a capacity crowd at Wembley. But it's the pay-per-view buys with something of this magnitude that are going to make the money. I would think, my guess would be Frank's got to sell about 800,000 pay-per-views to break even. So you can understand why he wants Dillian on board. He wants all the trash talk and he wants all that. He wants to hype it up, but Dillian's not playing ball. And there's, from that, there's even been rumours that Dillian's not going to turn up. And you had Frank talking to my colleague Danny Flexen the other day, saying, yes, we've got a standby. If the guy doesn't show at all, he's not showing the press conference, he's not showing pre-fight. If he doesn't show on fight night, we've got a standby kind of ready and waiting, which set the rumour mill going. My opinion is, bar any sort of unforeseen and chance injury, I can't see Dillian not turning up. I think he is very hungry for this. I think he's training very hard for this. Like I say, in realistic times, he might have dragged his feet because he was unhappy with Warren and Tyson having control of the promotion. He might have dragged his feet because he was unhappy with the purse split. He might have dragged his feet for any number of reasons. But he's definitely going to turn up and he's definitely going to fight because this is his shot. And he's been grumbling about getting this shot for years. And if he didn't take it now, I don't think he'd ever get it again. So let's now have a little look at what we're actually going to get on April 23rd, presuming Dillian turns up and Tyson's in the other corner. What are we actually going to see? Well, obviously they're both 33 years old. One of the stats, that stands out is that Dillian is 6'4" and Tyson is 6'9". We know that there's going to be that height disparity, that reach disparity. But looking at their fight records, Tyson is 31 wins with 22 KOs and now 1 draw coming against Deontay Wilder in their first fight way back in 2018. And Dillian is 28-2 with no draws. So he's had 28 fights, 19 knockouts, and he's had those 2 losses, one coming against Anthony Joshua in 2015, one coming against Alexander Povetkin, that surprise sort of knockout in 2020. Interestingly, obviously he was in both of those defeats, he was stopped quite emphatically. Both times with the uppercut. And his last fight was the rematch against Povetkin in March 2021. Tyson's last fight was the rubber match for Wilder in September 21. The question, I suppose, because everybody's thinking this is a Tyson Fury homecoming. This is he's been abroad for so long. He's conquered America. He's coming back. This is just an opponent to let him look good. And as Frank Warren would tell you, in his opinion, Tyson has sold those 94,000 tickets with his massive appeal, even though Dillian has refused to engage in the promotion. So, but does Dillian Whyte stand a chance? I suppose is the question I'm asking, because the bookies are putting it at 6-1. Tyson is 6-1 on. So, does Dillian have a chance? Well, looking at their styles they're fighting, the problem you have with finding a way for Dillian Whyte to win is how can he win? Because Tyson has shown his versatility in his last few fights. He's shown that he can box very well behind the jab. He's very elusive, very awkward style. He can also mix it up. He can go into the trenches. He can box going forwards. He can box going backwards. He can kind of do it all, and he's got those great recuperative powers when he has been knocked down. And obviously Dillian has been stopped those 2 times. Well, I think what Dillian's got to go for, the only way I can see Dillian Whyte winning this fight is knockout. I can't see him beating Fury on points. So I think he's going to go for the knockout. So, he's going to want Fury to engage. And he's going to want to work that left hook. I think he's going to work heavily to the body. Let's not forget Dillian's nickname, which doesn't get bandied around too much, but earlier in his career was the body snatcher. He always worked, really well to the body with both right and left hooks, particularly that left hook. And then he brings that left hook up to the head, and it's a very concussive punch. And he stops some very, very tough guys with that. And that's got to be, but then you're saying, well, can Dillian, if Wilder can't knock out Fury, how can Whyte knock out Fury? Well, let's not forget that Fury has been down a number of times in his career. He's been down, twice in the first Wilder fight, twice in the third Wilder fight. Going back beyond that, you have to look at 2013, he was down against Steve Cunningham, and 2011, he was down against Nevin Padgett. So that's 6 times he's visited the canvas in his career, in his whole career. And obviously those Wilder ones have been very recent. So he's not invulnerable. The thing is that the problem with Tyson is when he gets knocked down, he tends to come flying back at you. Now that's not an uncommon trait in fighters, but Tyson seems to become back a lot more measured. You're always told as a pro, don't take the knee, get up, and then box conservatively. Don't go flying back in there, because if you're already a bit discombobulated, you go flying back in, throwing punches, your guard is down, and you get another one, it could all be over. But that's what Tyson seems to do, and it does seem to work for him. He seems to have this amazing composure once he's been knocked down. His recuperative powers, like I said earlier, are very strong. So I do think it's going to be a lively fight, because I think Dillian Whyte is going to come to fight. I think Tyson will opt to keep it long early doors and have a look at him. Whyte will be trying to cut the ring off, and as soon as he gets close, he'll be working the body and working up to the head. I think, though, I've got to say that I think Fury's going to have too much for Whyte. My prediction would be a Fury stoppage, kind of mid to late rounds. I mean, if I was going to pick, I'd say round 9. I could see it going to points, and I could see Tyson winning on points. The other vulnerability is Dillian's never been cut. Fury obviously had that terrible cut against Atul Wallin, so that's another thing that Whyte will be looking to bring into the equation if he can in any way. So I think it's going to be an exciting fight. I think we're going to see the best Dillian Whyte. We've got to see the best Dillian Whyte for him to be competitive. I think we're also going to have to see a very good Tyson Fury to win this fight. So presuming they both come in shape, ready to go, I think we're getting an entertaining fight. And hopefully we're going to see the best of Tyson Fury. I think he's going to want to entertain the crowds on his big homecoming, which I think is going to play into Whyte's favour, because I don't think there's any way he can beat Tyson if Tyson stays behind the jab and pot shots. But I think if he engages, which I think he will, towards the later rounds, I think that's where Whyte's best chance lies. So, I think it's going to be entertaining. I think finally when Whyte comes in, we're going to see some back and forth, and we'll probably see some verbals in the ring that we haven't seen pre-fight. So really looking forward to it. April the 23rd. It's going to be a big event. It's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a bit of a pantomime. Looking forward to it. And that'll be the end of my Easter break. Can't wait to come back and see that.